Anarchronism asked about editing techniques and where to learn them. And it's a good question. Apparently there's not a lot out there on this. Probably something I need to do in a more long form YouTube video. Maybe I'll get around to that one day. But for now, I just want to start by showing the different tools available in Pro Tools for editing. I'm going to start with just the simple things that are really helpful. So let's start with things like our zooming in and zooming out. So we need to do that for editing. We're going to constantly be zooming in and out and also expanding the track height, as well as zooming in on the waveform. So that's not making the waveform any louder or quieter, it's just the view. Because for editing, we need the right view. So starting with the easy view toggling. Now let's have a look at some of the tools. Our tools are up here. We can also toggle with them using keyboard shortcuts. I'm going to start on the left here with the trimmer tool. This will allow us to trim out. At the moment it's snapping to the grid. I can change it to slip mode over here, and then I can trim off the grid. So we've got our grid and our slip mode. I'm going to put it back to the grid. I want to show you something shortly with that. Now, if you're in grid mode or slip mode, holding Command will toggle it to the other. So if I'm in grid mode and I'm moving things around in the grid, and then I hold down Command, I can't do it because I'm holding the phone with one hand, then it will basically temporarily go off the grid. And the same token, if I'm in slip mode and I hold Command, it'll temporarily go back into grid mode while I have that keyboard modifier held down. So really useful tools. So that's trimmer. But if we hold it, we can actually see there's this TCE. This will do time compression expansion. So that has just made it twice as fast using the TCE. So this could get your loops in time, or a note that's not held long enough you could stretch out. Scrub will just scrub and play the audio as we trim. Again, that's really just maybe more for post-production. I'll put this back to back on the bar. And our last one of the trimmer tool is the loop. And this will just, as it stretches out, it will just loop that section. Okay, next, let's look at our selection tool. That's just for selecting parts. Super easy, it makes sense. Grabber tool. This lets me grab and move it around. I have other options here. Separation. So if I were to select that section in the middle here, and then go to the grabber separation tool, click on that selection, it will actually separate it out. I rarely would use that, if ever, but it exists. And the last one is object selection. So typically when we're sort of selecting in Pro Tools, if we had things on multiple, in fact, let me just do this as an example for you. If I had things on multiple, that was a keyboard shortcut for duplicate, Command D, another useful quick technique. So if we had things like this and we started selecting with the normal selection tool, how am I going to do this? I need to hold, whoops, I accidentally shut my phone off while I was trying to use one hand to hold the shift key. So if I don't know if you can see the screen, normally in Pro Tools, if you start selecting, the actual selection is just going to go over the entire group. So if I click here on this purple one and then hold shift and click on this red one, it's going to select everything. Whereas if I go into my object selection and hold shift, I can actually select them out like that. So that's the object selection tool. But where do things get really awesome with Pro Tools? It is with the Smart tool. So let me just do this up here. We click this bracket, and then the tool becomes, based on the context, it becomes different types of tools. Why is my toolbar dock not gone? All right, let's get a good view. So I've got one clip here, one clip here. Smart tool activated. If I am at the left of the clip, I'm going to go into slip mode. If I'm at the left of the clip, it becomes the trimmer. If I'm at the right of the clip, it becomes the trimmer. If I'm at the top of the clip, it becomes select. If I'm at the bottom of the clip, it becomes grabber. If I'm between two clips, it becomes crossfade. If I'm at the far left at the top, it becomes fade in or fade out at the right. We can double click on the fades and change the shape of them very easily. So this becomes super fast when you combine it with other things, like, for example, Pro Tools has this tab to transient. So I could go, it's a lot easier when you have two hands, but so tab to transient. If I hit tab, it moves the cursor to the transient. I can press B to separate. Yeah, and then I can tab again, separate, and I've got this kick drum, and I can do a little fade in. I can scroll over to the left. I can trim it back, do a fade, and I've got an isolated kick. So Pro Tools is just so awesome for this type of detailed and fast editing. And you can apply that same stuff to a vocal track where you're trimming and then fading, and you can move very, very quickly. One other cool thing that you might not be aware of in Pro Tools, I'm not sure if this has ever happened to you, but let's say this purple clip is presently in time, it's in the correct spot, but I want to trim off that thing at the start. So now it's no longer on the grid, but it's still in time. Well, Pro Tools has grid mode, and if you hold it down, it turns into relative grid mode. So relative grid mode will actually, see there's bar lines, it will actually move it relative to where it was. So if I go into normal grid mode, it'll take that end and put that right on the bar. But if I go to relative grid mode, it will move it relative to where it was. So that's very helpful when you've got clips that aren't starting right on the beat or right on the bar. You can use relative mode to shift them in time. So there are a handful of editing tools that you can use in Pro Tools that make things really, really fast. The other thing with Pro Tools is our keyboard focus mode. This A to Z here enables super fast editing. So we've got our zooming in and zoom out on these T and R keys, but we also have, if I just click anywhere and hit B, it'll separate the region. I can hit C, don't even have to hold Command, C, V, X. It just makes all of those editing shortcuts super fast. So give it a go.